Welcome to Shadows of Reality, a place where science becomes poetry and the universe speaks in whispers instead of facts. Here, we drift between the seen and the unseen, between the heartbeat of the earth and the silence of the stars. Every story is a journey inward and outward at once, a reminder that the world outside mirrors the one within you. So, take a slow breath. Let your thoughts settle like dust in sunlight. Because tonight, we begin not just to learn, but to remember what we already are, a living part of everything that breathes, burns, and becomes. This is where wonder sleeps, and where your mind begins to dream. In the shadows of reality, Chapter 1, the breath of the planet you breathe in, and the earth breathes with you. Invisible currents of air link your lungs to forests, oceans, and clouds. Every breath carries a memory of leaves, plankton, and sunlight. Tonight, you'll follow the rhythm of life's quiet respiration, the pulse of a living world. You inhale, and though you cannot see it, something ancient moves through you, a rhythm older than your heartbeat, older than humankind itself. The air enters softly, cool against the edges of your lungs, then leaves again, warm, transformed. Each breath is an exchange, a promise between you and the planet. The air you breathe now was once part of something vast. Perhaps, only weeks ago, it brushed across the green canopy of the Amazon, drifting between leaves that reached for sunlight. Or maybe it rose from the cold surface of the Pacific, where plankton, invisible to the naked eye, released oxygen in shimmering bursts. The molecules within your breath may have passed through the lungs of a bird, the gills of a whale, or even the chest of another person standing halfway across the world. You breathe in the memory of life itself. Every inhale is a gathering, every exhale a giving. Together, they form a quiet dialogue that never stops, the planet's own breath, circulating endlessly through sky, sea, and body. The thin layer of air that hugs Earth is called the atmosphere. To the naked eye, it seems like nothing at all, a clear emptiness above us. Yet, it is everything. If the planet were an apple, the atmosphere would be no thicker than its skin. Within that delicate film floats the story of all living things. Nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide, silent actors that have been performing the same roles for billions of years. When you breathe, you join their play. You might imagine the air as a slow ocean of gas, moving in gentle tides. Wind is simply this invisible sea in motion. Each gust that rustles the leaves outside your window is part of Earth's great circulatory system, a steady flow of warmth, moisture, and memory that encircles the globe. The air does not stand still. It is always on a journey, rising, cooling, falling, flowing, carrying with it the breath of volcanoes, the scent of pine, the salt of the ocean. In this endless cycle, life is continuously renewed. Long before you were born, before the first human ever took a breath, the atmosphere was different, harsh, unbreathable, thick with carbon dioxide. Then came the cyanobacteria, tiny blue-green organisms living in ancient seas. They learned to harness sunlight, splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen. With that simple act, they changed everything. They filled the sky with oxygen, a slow, invisible flood that turned the world from hostile to habitable. Every breath you take now is a gift from those ancient beings. Their descendants still float in the ocean today, still exhaling the air that fills your chest. You lie back and feel your breathing slow, like the tide receding against the shore. Your body moves in time with Earth's rhythms, sleep and wake, inhale and exhale, ebb and flow. When you breathe deeply, you're not doing it alone. The forests breathe with you. The oceans breathe with you. Even the soil exhales, releasing gases shaped by unseen roots and organisms. All of it connects in one great pulse of balance. Scientists call it the carbon cycle. But to you, it can be something gentler, a conversation in which every living thing plays a part. You inhale oxygen, crafted by leaves and plankton. You exhale carbon dioxide, which becomes food for plants. It is not a debt or a duty, but a harmony, a perfect exchange of gratitude. Life continues because of this constant whisper between breath and leaf, body and air when you breathe. The oxygen slips into your blood, attaches to tiny red cells, and travels quietly through you to your brain, your heart, your fingertips. Each cell takes what it needs to burn its own small fire. The warmth you feel in your body is the result of this ancient chemistry, oxygen feeding the flame of life within you. In return, you exhale carbon dioxide, which leaves your body, joins the air, and wanders off again, perhaps toward a distant forest, where a leaf waits to take it in. In that exchange, you become part of something immense, something far beyond your own body. You are participating in the respiration of the planet. The more you notice it, the more astonishing it becomes that this invisible motion sustains everything. You can close your eyes and still feel connected to every living thing through the simple act of breathing. You and the world are not separate. You are two sides of the same inhale and exhale. Even now, in this moment of quiet, the atmosphere is alive with movement. Warm air rises above deserts, cold air sinks from the poles, and somewhere in between, winds mix and carry seeds, pollen, and whispers of distant rain. Every molecule of air has a story, shaped by weather, geography, and time. One molecule may spend days in a thundercloud, then drift across continents to reach you. When you breathe, you're pulling a piece of that vast story into yourself. And when you breathe out, you release a new chapter back into the sky. Try to imagine it. Millions of lungs, millions of leaves, billions of breaths, all working together without effort, without coordination, yet perfectly balanced. The rhythm of life is not something you must control. It happens on its own. You are simply invited to notice it, to rest within it, to belong to it. Sometimes, when storms sweep across the oceans, they stir up the waters where plankton live. The waves churn, the sunlight breaks through, and those microscopic beings awaken in dazzling numbers, producing more oxygen, more breath for all. In that sense, even chaos in nature has its purpose. The turbulence that shakes the world also helps it breathe. Your breath mirrors that truth. Even in moments of stress or sadness, breathing brings you back to balance. The air reminds you that stillness can exist within movement, that calm can return after the storm. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it, the faint sigh of wind through leaves, the slow exhale of waves against the shore. These are the lungs of the world, and through them you are always in conversation with life itself. You breathe, the planet breathes. The pattern repeats. Nothing forced, nothing hurried. Just a quiet cycle that holds everything from mountain to ocean, from cloud to you. In the gentle dark, your lungs rise and fall. The trees outside do the same, though on a slower scale. When night comes, plants release carbon dioxide. When morning returns, they draw in light and begin again. You are part of this daily rhythm, this exchange between sleep and waking, shadow and sun. As your breath softens, so does the world around you. It's all connected. Your exhale becomes the earth's inhale. Your stillness mirrors the forest's calm. And somewhere beneath the soil, hidden from view, another kind of breathing begins. Slower, deeper, older. Roots reach, fungi weave, and the ground exhales a different kind of life. You can almost sense it now, the quiet, steady whisper beneath the forest. Chapter 2. The whisper beneath the forest, beneath the soil. Trees are not alone. Roots stretch like fingers through the dark, touching, sharing, warning. The forest hums with an underground conversation, a slow exchange of care. You'll listen to what the trees whisper when no one is watching. You walk beneath the canopy, where sunlight filters through 1,000 leaves. The air is thick with quiet, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of listening. The forest waits, breathes, speaks in ways too slow for you to hear. To the eyes, it is still, but beneath your feet, a hidden world hums. You step softly, unaware that each footprint presses on a living network, a web of roots, fungi, and unseen threads that connect everything. This is the forest's bloodstream, its nervous system, its whispering mind. Through it, trees send messages to one another, a pulse of sugar here, a signal of distress there, a gift of nutrients between strangers who share the same soil. For a long time, humans thought trees were solitary, each one competing for light, for space, for survival. But the forest has never been a battlefield. It is a community, a slow, breathing city built on cooperation and exchange. Under the moss and fallen leaves lies the mycorrhizal network, a partnership between fungi and roots. Fungi weave delicate filaments, thinner than a strand of hair, reaching far beyond the roots they touch. In return for sugars made by photosynthesis, they gather minerals and water from the soil, sharing them across distances too vast for a single tree to reach. Some call it the wood wide web, a name that sounds almost whimsical, yet it describes something profoundly real. Imagine it, a great underground net of life, glowing faintly if only your eyes could see that spectrum. Through it, the trees speak in chemistry, in pulses of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus. One tree may warn another of drought or disease. Another may feed its seedlings with reserves drawn from deep underground. A fallen tree, though dead above the surface, still gives through its roots, returning its last resources to the living. You kneel down and touch the earth. What feels like stillness is 1,000 conversations taking place at once. Every handful of soil holds more life than there are humans on the planet. Bacteria, fungi, insects, tiny roots winding through the darkness. Each one has a role in this great dialogue. Earthworms open tunnels for air and water. Beetles break down wood. Microorganisms recycle decay into nourishment. Even death becomes part of the whisper. Every fallen leaf, every lost feather, every fading bloom is folded gently back into the story of life, and the trees listen. When caterpillars begin to chew their leaves, a tree releases chemical signals into the air, a kind of alarm. The neighboring trees, upon receiving it, start producing defensive compounds in their own leaves, preparing themselves. It is not thought, not language as we know it, but it is communication nonetheless, a network of awareness. Science tells us this, but the forest has always known. Walk deeper now. The light dims. The trunks grow older, thicker, more wrinkled by time. Each ring inside them is a memory of summers rich in rain, of winters that froze the soil, of fires that passed and spared. A tree's memory is written not in neurons but in wood. Each year adds a line to the diary of the forest. Some lines are narrow, others wide, but together they tell the story of endurance. The forest is not in a hurry. It moves in centuries, not seconds. The roots you step over may have been growing since before your ancestors spoke your language. Beneath them, fungi have been threading their way through the ground, connecting new saplings to ancient giants. Time, here, is not linear. It circles, spirals, recycles, and yet, even in its slowness, the forest breathes. During the day, the leaves inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen, joining the same planetary breath you felt in the last chapter. At night, the rhythm reverses. The forest rests, and the soil exhales. The balance is perfect, breath flowing from sky to earth, and back again. You notice now how everything depends on everything else. The fungi cannot live without trees. The trees cannot thrive without fungi. The animals depend on both, eating the fruit, scattering the seeds, shaping the future of the forest with every movement. Even the decay of a fallen log becomes food for new life. Nothing is wasted. Nothing truly ends. There's a comfort in that, to know that life below the surface is busy ensuring that life above continues. The soil is not just dirt. It is memory, transformation, and promise. When rain falls, it seeps into this world like a messenger from above. It carries nutrients downward, washes minerals through root and stone, and awakens spores long asleep. The smell that rises after rain, that rich earthy perfume, is the scent of microbes celebrating moisture, of life stirring in darkness. It's called petrichor, and it carries with it the scent of renewal. If you were to shrink small enough to wander through the soil, you would see highways of fungal threads glistening with moisture. You would pass cells exchanging chemical gifts, tiny roots intertwining, particles of rock slowly crumbling into dust that becomes food. It is a metropolis built without greed, governed by the laws of balance. No creature takes more than it needs, and everything that dies becomes sustenance for something new above you. The leaves rustle softly, as if echoing what happens below. The forest's harmony is mirrored, canopy to soil, sky to ground. The patterns repeat everywhere. In the veins of a leaf, the flow of a river, the branching of your own lungs. You are built from the same design that shapes the trees. You too are part of a living network, unseen but constant. The more you learn about this world beneath the roots, the more you realize that communication isn't just a human invention. It is the nature of life itself, to connect, to exchange, to care. Every organism, from the tiniest bacterium to the tallest tree, is in conversation with its surroundings. The universe itself seems to speak in networks, weaving threads of interdependence through everything it creates. You lean back against a tree trunk. It feels solid, grounded, eternal. But even this moment of stillness is full of movement. Sap flows upward, carrying sugars from the leaves to the roots. Water rises and falls with the pull of the sun. And below, the fungi carry whispers of nutrients to another tree half a forest away. The forest is alive not because it grows, but because it shares. In this quiet awareness, you feel your own pulse align with the rhythm of the roots. Your breath deepens, matching the slow respiration of the earth. You belong here, not above the soil, not separate from it, but as part of the same vast organism that has been breathing for millions of years. You begin to understand that intelligence isn't limited to thought or reason. Sometimes it is patience. Sometimes it is cooperation. Sometimes it is the simple act of listening, as the forest does now. Listening to the wind, to the rain, to you. And as night deepens, a new sound rises faint, rhythmic like the hush of waves. The forest exhales into the darkness, and the air carries that breath onward. You follow it in your imagination through the trees, across valleys, beyond the cliffs where the land meets the sea. There another rhythm awaits you, slower, deeper, older than even the roots of the forest. It is the voice of water, the memory of beginnings. The ocean is calling. Chapter 3. The ocean's ancient memory. The sea remembers everything. The birth of continents, the fall of rain, the first spark of life. Each wave that touches the shore has traveled through time. You drift across its vast surface, rocked by history itself. In its depths, you'll find echoes of your own beginning. You hear it before you see it, the slow, rhythmic murmur of waves reaching for the land. It's a sound older than language, older than the mountains themselves. The ocean breathes in long, unhurried sighs, rising and falling as if the planet itself were asleep beneath the moon. You stand at the water's edge and let the sound fill you. Each wave that curls toward your feet has come from somewhere far away, perhaps from storms born in the middle of the world, or from the steady pull of tides shaped by the moon's silent hand. The sea is never still, yet its restlessness is soothing. Beneath its surface lies a memory older than any written word, the memory of how life began. You step closer. Foam gathers around your ankles, cool and alive. The salt touches your skin, the same salt that flows through your veins. The ocean's chemistry and your blood share the same ancient formula. Long before there were forests or birds or human voices, there was the sea, the first cradle, the first home, more than 4 billion years ago. When the earth was young and restless, the sky reigned for centuries. The planet cooled, craters filled, and the oceans were born. In those deep, warm waters, something miraculous stirred. Molecules joined hands, finding ways to replicate, to change, to endure. That was the beginning of life, and though everything has changed since then, the sea has never forgotten. Every drop of water holds the memory of this origin. The atoms themselves, hydrogen, oxygen, are ancient beyond comprehension, born in the hearts of dying stars. Each wave that breaks against the shore carries with it stardust, history, and the slow persistence of time. You are surrounded by the universe's oldest story. When sunlight strikes the surface, the water turns to glass, reflecting the sky's infinite moods. But beneath that glittering calm lies movement currents that travel thousands of miles, weaving the world together in liquid threads. The Gulf Stream, the Kuroshio, the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, vast rivers within the sea that shaped climate, carry heat and feed life across the globe. The ocean does not separate continents, it connects them. Its currents are veins of the planet, circulating warmth like blood through a body far below in the cold and the dark. The ocean holds another kind of life, one that thrives without sunlight. Around deep-sea vents, where water meets molten rock, life feeds on heat and minerals. Bacteria there use sulfur instead of sunlight, turning poison into energy. They form the base of entire ecosystems, strange, beautiful creatures like tube worms, ghostly crabs, and translucent fish drifting through blackness. Even where the sun cannot reach, life finds a way to glow. The sea is filled with light nonetheless, not from above, but from within. Tiny organisms called plankton release bioluminescence, lighting the waves with blue fire. At night, when you stir the water with your hand, it glows softly, like a field of stars beneath your fingertips. These microscopic beings, though invisible by day, create much of the oxygen you breathe. They are the ocean's lungs, exhaling life into the air. The next time you take a deep breath, remember, a large part of it comes not from trees, but from these unseen drifts glowing quietly in the sea. Every creature in the ocean carries part of its story. Coral reefs growing like cities, whales singing across miles, jellyfish pulsing with ancient grace. Even the sand beneath your feet once belonged to mountains, ground down by waves and time into fine grains that whisper of what once was. The ocean holds memory not only in its depths, but in its rhythms. Tides rise and fall because of the moon, a constant reminder that everything is connected. When the moon pulls on the sea, it pulls on you too. The same gravity that lifts the tides moves subtly through your body, shifting fluids, heartbeats, emotions. You are made mostly of water, and so, in a small way, you move with the moon as well. The salt wind against your face carries more than moisture. It carries the scent of plankton, of minerals, of countless lives blooming and fading beneath the surface. Every breath of ocean air is part of a vast exchange between sea and sky. Water evaporates, becomes cloud, travels over land and returns as rain, a cycle that has repeated for billions of years. The raindrop that nourishes a forest may have fallen from an ocean that remembers the first breath of life. Listen closely to the waves. They seem to say something, not in words, but in rhythm. Each one carries a heartbeat, steady and eternal. The ocean speaks slowly, in centuries. It erodes cliffs, shapes coastlines, builds islands. What looks like chaos, waves crashing, storms raging, is part of a long, deliberate pattern of renewal. Even destruction is a kind of creation here. Coral reefs thrive after storms, nutrients rise from the depths, and new currents are born from the turbulence. The surface may seem endless, but the ocean has layers. The top is warm and sunlit, where most life flourishes, fish darting, algae floating, sunlight dancing. Below that, a twilight zone fades into darkness, where strange creatures drift in silence. And beneath even that, at the very bottom, the water is ancient and still, older than memory, untouched by light for millennia. It moves so slowly that a single current may take 1,000 years to circle the planet. Down there, pressure is immense, yet life persists, delicate, glowing, unafraid. You imagine yourself floating above it all, suspended between surface and deep. The world above seems far away, its noise fading into quiet. You feel the ocean cradle you, its temperature, its pulse, its weight. You realize you are resting in the same water that has cradled every creature that ever lived. The molecules that touch your skin once touched the first living cells, the first fish, the first human child. The sea has never forgotten. It holds every story, even yours. The ocean also remembers loss, reefs bleached by heat, waters rising with a warming world, species drifting toward extinction. Yet even here, life adapts, finds balance, finds renewal. The ocean teaches resilience through motion to bend, to flow, to rise again. You lie back, floating, and look up. The sky above you is reflected perfectly on the surface. For a moment, you cannot tell where the sea ends and the heavens begin. The same light that travels from the sun to the stars also enters the ocean. feeding plankton, painting colors, igniting growth. Light is the bridge between worlds, air and water, sky and life. The ocean's surface ripples with that light, carrying it downward in shimmering threads. You can almost see it, a conversation between sun and sea, a dance of photons and waves. In that exchange, the story continues. Energy from a star, transformed into breath, movement, existence. And just as the forest whispered in its roots, the ocean whispers in its tides. Its voice rises and falls, endless and patient. You listen, lulled by its rhythm, comforted by its depth. The sea does not rush. It simply moves, always becoming, always remembering, as you drift there. You realize that the ocean's memory is not only ancient, it is alive. It moves through clouds and rain, through rivers and veins, through every living body. The sea is not separate from you. It is within you, flowing quietly, reminding you of where you came from. The waves lap gently at the shore, and you hear the faint hum of dawn beyond the horizon. The light is changing, pale gold touching the water, stirring it awake. And as the ocean reflects that first shimmer, you feel a new curiosity rising about the light itself. What is it that travels across space, touching oceans and leaves and eyes alike? What does light say to life? Chapter 4. The Language of Light. Light is more than brightness. It's a messenger from the stars. It paints the world you see, tells you of distant fires still burning. Photosynthesis, sight, color, all are born from this cosmic dialogue. You'll rest tonight in the quiet conversation between light and life. Light travels through the vast silence of space, never growing tired. It leaves the heart of a star, perhaps the sun, perhaps one far older, and crosses the emptiness for millions of years, carrying a message written in energy. You live surrounded by these messages. Each sunrise, each gentle glow on your skin, is a letter delivered from the cosmos. You open your eyes, and light translates the world for you. It tells you what is near and what is far, what shines and what hides. But beneath the surface of sight lies a deeper truth. That light is not just illumination. It is a thread that connects all living things. Without it, there would be no warmth, no color, no life. You might think of light as a traveler, quiet, tireless, and generous. It has been journeying since the dawn of time. When the first stars ignited, they began sending waves of energy outward, and those waves have never stopped. Every beam of sunlight that reaches you has crossed 93 million miles, yet it feels weightless. It touches your face, enters your eyes, and becomes something else entirely. Vision, emotion, understanding. When you look at a leaf glistening in the morning, you are seeing sunlight transformed. Inside that leaf, tiny green structures, chloroplasts, catch the light and use it to weave sugar from air and water. This quiet miracle, photosynthesis, is the reason you breathe, the reason life thrives. Light becomes food, and food becomes you. You, too, are made from sunlight that has changed its form. Imagine tracing your breath back to its source. The oxygen you inhale was once part of a plant's dream, born from light. The same rays that warmed ancient forests still echo in your body. Every moment of your life depends on this silent exchange, light descending from the sky, entering leaves, transforming into the invisible strength that keeps your heart beating. Light also paints emotion across your world. At dawn, it whispers in soft pinks and golds. At midday, it speaks with clarity and confidence. And when it sinks below the horizon, it slows, deepens, and sighs into blue and violet. Every change in the day's color tells you a different story about the angle of the sun, the thickness of the atmosphere, the dust and vapor suspended in the air. The sky is not simply blue, it is light, scattered and softened through the breath of the planet. Even the stars you see at night are voices from the past. Some of them no longer exist, yet their light still reaches you, carrying the memory of what once burned. When you gaze upward, you are looking back in time, thousands, even millions of years. You are surrounded by light that has traveled farther than you can imagine, and yet it arrives gently, without sound. Inside your body, light also plays a role more intimate than you realize. Your eyes contain cells that translate light into meaning. They turn the invisible language of photons into sight. But beyond seeing, light speaks directly to your mind. It tells your brain when to wake and when to rest. The rhythm of light and darkness, day and night, sets the pace of your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm. When daylight fades, your body releases melatonin, a hormone that gently invites you to sleep. Light guides not only your vision, but your time, your mood, your rest. When ancient humans first learned to control fire, they invited light into the night. The flicker of flames extended the day, allowing stories to unfold after sunset. Around those fires, our ancestors saw faces illuminated, shadows dancing on stone, sparks rising like stars reborn. The first storytellers spoke in rhythm with the glow of burning wood, the same rhythm that continues in every lamp, every candle, every screen today. But the purest light remains that of the sun. It is steady, patient, constant. It sustains winds, ocean currents, and weather. It powers the growth of forests, the flight of birds, the blooming of coral beneath the waves. Even the deepest caves on earth, far from sunlight, still depend on its touch. For every organism there relies, directly or indirectly, on energy first captured by plants above. When you stand in sunlight, you are standing in the presence of something ancient. The sun itself is around 4.6 billion years old, and one day, long from now, it will fade. But its story will continue in other stars, other worlds. Light never truly ends. It only changes shape. Even when absorbed or scattered, it becomes part of new forms, warmth, motion, thought. You are surrounded by transformations born from light's journey. Perhaps you've noticed how light behaves in water bending, shimmering, scattering into rainbows. That bending, called refraction, is how your eyes see clearly. It's how raindrops turn sunlight into color, how glass lenses focus the distant and the near. Each rainbow is light slowed and spread into a spectrum, a reminder that white light is not singular, but composed of many hues, united and yet distinct. Every living creature, from the smallest insect to the tallest tree, responds to light. Some flowers open only at dawn, others at dusk. Migrations begin with changes in daylight. Even the coral reefs of the ocean release their eggs and sperm in synchronization with the full moon's reflected light. Life listens carefully to this language. It reads the messages carried in brightness and shadow, in warmth and wavelength, and perhaps, in your own way, you do too. You feel lighter on sunny days, calmer when the world glows gold in the evening. You feel drawn to firelight, comforted by its dance. Light shapes your emotions as much as your vision, reminding you that seeing is more than observing. It is a kind of communion as the day ends. The last rays fade into the quiet of twilight. The light softens its voice, giving way to blue shadows and deep calm. Stars begin to emerge, not new, but waiting, as if to remind you that darkness is never absence, only transition. Even when you close your eyes, light leaves an afterimage, a gentle memory that flickers in your mind. You breathe, and in your breath, the planet turns. Day becomes night. The photosynthetic hum of leaves slows. The planet exhales into the cool air, and you rest within its rhythm. But beneath the fading glow, another form of life stirs, one that speaks without light, in silence and shadow. The trees begin to whisper underground, in a language older than sound. And so, as light retreats, your attention drifts downward, toward the soil, the roots, and the hidden pulse of the earth. Chapter 5. The heartbeat of stone. Even the mountains move, though too slowly for you to see. Rocks breathe in their own way, folding, melting, rising again. Earth's crust shifts like a slow tide beneath your feet. You'll feel the steady patience of a planet that never hurries. You walk upon what feels like stillness, solid, unmoving, eternal. Yet beneath your steps, the earth flows. Stone, the very image of permanence, is not fixed at all. It moves, it bends, it remembers. You may never see it happen, but it is happening now, the slowest heartbeat you can imagine, pulsing through the bones of the planet. Every mountain, every cliff, every grain of sand has lived 1,000 lives. What you call rock is not a single thing, but a moment in a long transformation, a pause in an endless cycle of heat, pressure, and time. It begins deep within the earth, where temperatures rise higher than any flame. There stone softens, melts, and flows like honey, though we call it magma. And when that molten river cools, it becomes solid again, waiting for the next chapter of its journey. Rocks are storytellers. They speak in layers, each one a page written over centuries. Sedimentary stones, born from rivers and seas, record the quiet accumulation of silt and shells, pressed into permanence. Igneous rocks carry the memory of fire, frozen eruptions of the planet's molten heart. Metamorphic stones are the alchemists of the earth, transformed by heat and pressure into new forms, new textures, new beauty. If you could listen long enough, you would hear them whisper, not in words, but in texture. The grain of sandstone, the shimmer of granite, the fold of slate. Each tells of its birth, its suffering, its transformation. To hold a stone is to hold time itself, compacted into weight and silence. The surface of the earth is like a skin, thin, flexible, alive. Beneath it lies a mantle that shifts, carrying countenance across the planet like rafts on a slow, fiery sea. This movement, called plate tectonics, shapes the world you see. Mountains rise when plates collide. Oceans open when they drift apart. Earthquakes are the tremors of this slow, steady breathing, reminders that what seems unmoving is always in motion. Imagine the Himalayas. They reach toward the sky, higher than any other peaks on Earth, yet they are still rising, pushed upward as the Indian plate presses against the Eurasian. The mountains grow by less than an inch each year, but across millions of years, those inches become giants. The stones beneath them groan and fold, shifting the face of the world. And while mountains rise, others crumble. Rain, wind, and frost carve them back into dust. Rivers carry their remains to the sea, where they settle again into new beginnings. Even destruction, here, is only part of the rhythm. The rock you hold today may once have been mountain, then sand, then seafloor, and someday mountain again. The heartbeat of stone never stops. It only changes tempo at times. The planet reminds us of its hidden power. A sudden quake, a volcanic eruption, a landslide. Moments when the slow becomes fast. When the patience of the earth reveals its strength. These are not acts of anger, but of renewal. The crust breaks, a new land is born. The earth shifts, and balance returns. To the planet, these are as natural as your own breathing. There is a kind of peace in this realization, that beneath your daily life, beneath your worries and routines, the ground is carrying out its patient work, turning, folding, renewing. You are walking across a surface that has been broken and remade countless times. You live atop the scars of ancient collisions, and yet everything holds together. The world does not hurry and still. Everything changes. Sometimes you can see the slow artistry of stone in the curves of a canyon or the lines of a cliff face. The Grand Canyon, for instance, is not a single creation but a long conversation between rock and river. Over millions of years, the Colorado River carved through layers of sediment, revealing colors and shapes like brushstrokes from time itself. Red, ochre, white, each hue a different era, each line a pulse of the earth's past. Or think of basalt, the black glassy stone that forms from cooling lava. In places like Iceland or Hawaii, you can walk across these ancient flows, their surfaces frozen mid-motion. Some form columns, geometric and perfect, as if carved by intention. Yet it is only physics, molten rock contracting as it cools, fracturing into honeycomb patterns. Even in its silence, the earth designs. Stone teaches patience. It moves in rhythms too vast for human eyes, yet its lessons are simple. Nothing is still, nothing is lost. Even what seems eternal is in transition. The mountain's peak, one day, will become sand beneath your feet. The pebble you skip across a river may one day return to the depths of the earth's mantle. Change is the one constant, gentle, cyclical, sure. When you lie down upon the ground, you can almost feel that pulse. The hum of distant tectonic plates, the faint tremor of the world turning beneath you. You are part of this rhythm too. The calcium in your bones was once part of limestone reefs. The iron in your blood was forged in ancient stone, and before that, in the hearts of stars. You are, quite literally, the planet remembering itself at night. When the earth cools and quiets, its heartbeat continues unseen. Deep below, magma flows in slow rivers. Minerals grow like crystals in the dark, forming under pressures greater than you can imagine. Water seeps through cracks, carrying whispers of the surface down to the deep. Even in darkness, even in stillness, the work continues. The stones beneath cities, mountains, and oceans do not need to be seen to matter. They are the foundation of everything. They hold the memory of what came before and the promise of what will come next. Each pebble, each cliff, each fragment of sand holds a fragment of the planet's breath. You might notice, too, how stone holds warmth. During the day, sunlight seeps into it. At night, it releases that warmth slowly, radiating a steady comfort. It is a kind of conversation between light and earth, one that never ends. You can feel it when you touch a rock at dusk, the last warmth of the day still lingering there. Light becomes heat, heat becomes rest, and the cycle continues. If you could listen deep enough, not with your ears, but with your attention, you might hear the planet's slow song. Not a sound exactly, but a sense, the rhythm of expansion and compression, of growth and erosion, of fire and calm. A song sung so slowly that it can only be heard across epochs. As you close your eyes, imagine following that vibration downward, through soil, through stone, through the mantle's molten layers. Feel the world's steady pulse beneath your heartbeat, the ancient rhythm that sustains all life above. The ground beneath you is alive, not in the way a creature is alive, but in the way time itself is alive. It moves, reshapes, remembers, and begins again, and deep below that steady patience, beyond the cold silence of stone, burns something even older, a hidden fire that never goes out. Chapter 6. The hidden fire below, beneath every step you take, burns an unseen world. Magma moves in silence, shaping countenance, feeding volcanoes. It is the planet's secret heart, ancient, powerful, alive. You'll drift closer to the warmth that keeps Earth from sleeping. You stand on the cool surface of the Earth, perhaps feeling the soft rhythm of wind or the faint hum of insects in the air. It feels calm, solid, still. Yet, deep beneath you, the world burns. A slow, living fire pulses below, too distant for your senses, but powerful enough to shape mountains, oceans, and the very air you breathe. This fire is not the wild blaze of destruction you imagine when you think of flame. It is patient, ancient, and hidden, the slow breathing of the planet's molten heart. The core of the Earth glows with heat left over from its birth 4.5 billion years ago. That warmth has never gone out. It continues to rise, to stir, to reshape the world above. If you could journey downward, you would pass through layers of stone that grow denser and hotter with every mile. The crust, the part you know, is only a fragile shell, thinner than an eggshell in proportion to the whole planet. Beneath it lies the mantle, vast and restless, where rock behaves not as solid or liquid, but as both a slow-moving sea of stone. This mantle is where the hidden fire flows. It churns in endless motion, carrying heat from the deep core toward the surface. The process is called convection, a word that means to carry together. In this slow circulation, the Earth remakes itself. The rising plumes of hot material push at the crust from below, breaking it into plates that drift across the globe. Where those plates collide, mountains rise. Where they part, new seafloor is born. Every volcano you've ever seen is a place where this fire briefly touches the air. When magma breaks through the crust, it becomes lava, the molten voice of the Earth itself, speaking in red light and heat. To watch it flow is to witness time accelerated, creation, destruction, renewal, all in one. Entire islands have risen this way, born from fire that met the sea, and though you may fear the power of volcanoes, there is something deeply natural, even necessary, about their presence. They are the planet's safety valves, releasing pressure that builds below. Without them, the Earth's crust might fracture in far greater violence. The fire below is not rage, it is balance. If you were to stand on the edge of an active volcano and look down, you would see the Earth's inner light. Beneath the smoke and molten glow, there is silence. The movement of magma is slow and deliberate, guided by physics, not fury. It rises, cools, and solidifies, only to melt again somewhere else in another era. The rock that forms your mountains today may one day return to this hidden ocean of heat. The core itself, that central sphere at the planet's heart, is made mostly of iron and nickel. It is unimaginably hot, hotter than the surface of the sun, Yet it does not burn as a fire does. It glows from within, generating heat through slow decay of radioactive elements. The same invisible energy that powers the stars, but gentler. Older, the core is divided into two parts, a solid inner sphere and a liquid outer one. The outer core churns constantly, and its movement creates something extraordinary: Earth's magnetic field. You are protected by it every moment of your life, though you never see it. It shields the planet from cosmic radiation, shaping the auroras that dance near the poles, those ethereal curtains of green and violet that ripple across the night sky. The northern and southern lights are not merely beauty. They are proof that Earth's heart is alive and spinning. When you think of the ground beneath you, it may seem permanent, but this slow fire ensures it never truly is. The continents drift like immense rafts, carried by the mantle's flow. Every year, the Atlantic Ocean grows a little wider. Africa inches closer to Europe. The world you know is always rearranging itself, quietly, patiently. If you listen to the world after an earthquake, there is a stillness, a deep, humbled calm. It is as if the planet exhales. These quakes are not random. They are signs of the fire's work below, of plates shifting and releasing tension that has built over time. The energy that moves mountains is the same that once forged the minerals in your bones. The fire does not only shape landscapes, it shapes life itself. Because of this warmth, the earth remains dynamic and habitable. Without it, there would be no volcanism, no carbon cycle, no renewal of soil and atmosphere. The hidden fire recycles everything: gases, minerals, oceans. It feeds the planet's heartbeat, driving the processes that make the surface fertile and alive. Even the gold in a ring, the iron in your blood, the silicon in the device you hold, all were brought to you by the slow exhalation of this inner heat. There are places where this deep warmth touches the surface more gently: in hot springs, in geysers, in the quiet steam that rises from cracks in the earth. Here, the hidden fire reveals its softer side. Long before humans built homes or cities, our ancestors gathered around these natural fountains of heat, drawn by their comfort. They understood, perhaps intuitively, that the warmth of the earth is kin to the warmth of the body. Both are signs of life continuing deep within. Even the ocean floor tells the story of this fire. Along the Midichan ridges, those great underwater mountain chains, molten rock rises and cools, creating new crust in slow waves. As the old crust drifts away, it carries with it the memory of its creation, imprinted in minerals that record the direction of Earth's magnetic field. Scientists can read those lines like a fingerprint, tracing the movement of continents through time. The ocean floor, it turns out, is younger than the continents, constantly renewed by the hidden fire below, sometimes in the silence of night. You might imagine that heat, slow, steady, invisible, still rising from beneath your feet. It is not distant. It is within you too. The warmth of your body, the electricity of your heartbeat, the fire of thought, all are echoes of that same cosmic heat, born from the same beginning. You and the planet share the same energy, recycled and reshaped through time. When you rest against the ground, you are not separate from it. You are part of its temperature, its chemistry, its flow. The warmth you feel beneath you is older than any life, a quiet gift from the earth's creation, still burning, still holding you in its glow. As your breath slows, you might picture this fire not as destruction, but as memory, the world remembering its beginning, still carrying the spark of its birth through every layer of stone. And just as heat rises, carrying energy upward through the planet's body. So does life, from cells to forests, from light to mind. Because above this deep fire, another dance is taking place. Not of stone or metal, but of life itself, billions of cells, moving in rhythm, creating you from within. Chapter 7. The Dance of Cells Inside Your Body. A silent choreography unfolds. Trillions of tiny lives move in harmony, each with purpose, each with rhythm. Cells speak in pulses of energy and light, keeping you alive with their quiet labor. You are a walking universe, composed of countless unseen dancers. You close your eyes, and the world around you fades into quiet. Yet within you, life does not rest. Beneath your stillness, there is movement, a dance so intricate and constant that even silence hums with its rhythm. Your body, that familiar vessel you carry through the day, is not one being, but billions. Each cell is its own world, its own pulse, its own tiny spark of purpose. If you could shrink yourself down, smaller than sight, smaller than dust, and wander through this inner landscape, you would find motion everywhere. Your blood would flow like a red river, carrying oxygen and nutrients, winding through valleys of muscle and mountains of bone. Cells would drift and glide through it like travelers in an endless current. Each one knows where it must go. Each one moves not through command, but through quiet cooperation, an ancient choreography that began long before you were born. You might first meet a red blood cell round, soft, flexible. It carries oxygen, the invisible thread of life, from your lungs to every corner of your being. It never rests, never slows. In its lifetime of about 120 days, it will complete millions of circuits through your body. When it grows old, it will be taken apart gently, its iron and protein reused to build something new. Even in death, it contributes to life's rhythm. Nearby, white blood cells patrol like quiet guardians. They move with patience, searching for harm, for invaders that do not belong. When danger comes, a virus, a wound, a foreign cell, they awaken, multiplying, surrounding, dissolving what threatens you. Then they rest again, fading back into the calm order of your inner world. They do not act for glory or memory, only for balance. In another region, deep within your muscles, fibers slide past one another, powered by molecules that grasp and release. Grasp and release thousands of times per second. This is how you move. When you walk, or lift, or breathe, you are watching chemistry turn into motion, energy into strength. You are the physical poetry of invisible work. If you move closer to the heart, you'll find rhythm in its truest form. Each heartbeat is a wave of synchronized contraction, rippling through billions of muscle cells that beat as one. They do not need thought to guide them. They listen instead to an electrical signal, a pulse that originates from a small cluster of cells, the sinoatrial node, your natural pacemaker. This is where your body's music begins. It sends out a signal, and every cell answers, creating the steady thrum you feel in your chest. And then there are neurons, the messengers of your mind. Each one is shaped like a tree, with branches reaching out in every direction. They pass signals, not with touch, but with sparks, tiny electrical charges that leap across microscopic gaps called synapses. In a single second, your brain can send billions of these messages. Thoughts, memories, emotions, all are born from this shimmering storm of communication. If you could watch your brain at work, you would see light flicker through it like fireflies in the dark. Each neuron lights up for a brief moment, passes its spark, and falls quiet again. This is how you remember a face, how you dream, how you feel peace. Every flicker is both electrical and chemical, a dance between charged atoms and flowing molecules. Perfectly timed, perfectly balanced, but perhaps the most beautiful dancers of all are the mitochondria. They are ancient, once free-living bacteria that joined with early cells billions of years ago. Now they dwell inside nearly every cell of your body, producing the energy that keeps you alive. They are the quiet engines of existence. With every breath you take, they transform oxygen and nutrients into a molecule called ATP, the fuel that powers every heartbeat, every thought, every blink. You are, in a way, a collection of partnerships. Your body is not a single entity, but an ecosystem, an alliance of trillions of cells and even more microscopic companions. The bacteria in your gut, the microorganisms on your skin, the invisible communities within you, all work in quiet cooperation. They digest, protect, and balance. You are not alone in your own body. You are shared, and through that sharing, you live. Inside each cell, there is structure and order that mirrors the vastness of galaxies. The nucleus holds your genetic code, a spiral staircase made of molecules called DNA. In that spiral lies a language written in 4 letters, repeating in patterns that define everything you are: the color of your eyes, the sound of your voice, the way your heart repairs itself. This language has been copied billions of times since life began. It connects you to every organism that has ever lived, to trees, to fish, to stars, even, because the atoms that make your DNA were once parts of stars that burned long ago. When a cell divides, it does so with grace. It duplicates its DNA, pulls it apart, and forms 2 new cells, each a perfect continuation of the old. This act, called mitosis, is one of the purest examples of life renewing itself. It happens quietly, constantly, invisibly. Even as you read these words, millions of your cells are being replaced. Old ones fade away, and new ones take their place. Your body is never the same from one moment to the next. Yet you remain you, a pattern of continuity through constant change. If you zoomed out again, you'd see how these patterns of life echo the patterns of the world. The same flow that moves magma beneath the earth moves blood within your veins. The same balance of destruction and creation that shapes continents shapes your body. Just as volcanoes release heat to keep the planet in balance, your cells release energy to keep you alive. You are not apart from the earth. You are made in its image, built from its materials, animated by its fire. Every cell moves in response to forces, chemical gradients, electrical fields, temperature, light. They sense, decide, adapt. A white blood cell can chase a bacterium. A neuron can learn a new pattern. A skin cell can respond to sunlight by thickening or healing. These are forms of intelligence, not in thought but in behavior. Life knows how to continue. It always has. You may think of intelligence as belonging to the mind, but it begins much deeper in the ability of cells to respond to the world around them. Each choice they make, each adjustment, is a whisper of understanding passed through the lineage of life, from single-celled ancestors floating in ancient seas, to the complexity that is you now. That quiet awareness has never ceased. Inside this microscopic symphony, there is rhythm everywhere, in the contraction of muscles, in the firing of neurons, in the duplication of DNA. It is not random. It is a pattern of astonishing coherence, built from energy, timing, and connection. When you breathe, your cells respond. When you eat, they awaken. When you sleep, they repair and restore you. Each one is a tiny craftsman working without pause, ensuring that the whole, your body, your mind, your being, continues in balance. And yet, for all their activity, cells also know how to rest. At the end of their lifespan, they die gracefully, breaking themselves down so their components can nourish others. This process, called apoptosis, is not loss but renewal. In your body, death is not an end, it is the space that allows new life to emerge. Even here, the rhythm continues. You are never static. You are an unfolding. Every heartbeat, every breath, every sleeping moment is a continuation of this ancient dance. The same dance that began when the first cell divided in the oceans billions of years ago. You are a ripple of that first motion, still moving, still alive, as your mind drifts toward rest. Imagine all those cells, your unseen dancers, slowing their pace, aligning with the stillness of night. The body cools, the heart steadies, and deep within, the dance softens into silence. And in that silence, a realization stirs that just as your cells connect and communicate within you, so too does all life connect beyond you. Threads stretch outward, from body to body, from air to ocean, from leaf to lung. Chapter 8. The Threads of Connection. Everything that lives is connected, not metaphorically, but physically, chemically, energetically. The breath you exhale becomes the air another creature inhales. The atoms in your body were once inside stars, oceans, and ancient trees. Life is not a collection of separate beings, but a single, breathing web, infinite and indivisible. There is a quiet truth that hums. Beneath the surface of all things, nothing is truly alone. Even when you stand in an empty field, surrounded by silence, you are not separate. The air that touches your skin has already touched mountains, oceans, forests. The oxygen that fills your lungs was released by a tree thousands of miles away. And the carbon you exhale will one day feed the leaves that give you breath in return. This is the first thread, the thread of breath. It weaves through every living being on earth. Each inhale and exhale is a shared act, a soft exchange between species. You breathe in what the trees let go. They breathe in what you release. This rhythm connects you to every leaf, every forest, every unseen organism that lives and dies in the endless cycle of renewal. You are not simply living on Earth, you are living with it. Every moment, molecules pass between you and the world, drifting, mixing, returning. The air you inhale may contain the remnants of Caesar's last breath, the whisper of a blue whale surfacing in a far ocean, or the exhalation of a child playing in the grass. In the vastness of time, air remembers everything. Then there is the second thread, the thread of water. The water in your veins once flowed in ancient rivers that carved the bones of the planet. It once drifted as vapor in the sky, fell as rain upon stone, froze in glaciers, melted again, and cycled endlessly through forms and ages. Every sip you take, every tear you shed, every drop of sweat, all are part of this great migration of water, moving through every living thing that has ever existed. When you look at a lake, you are looking at your own reflection, not just in form, but in essence. Your blood plasma mirrors seawater, not by coincidence, but by ancestry. Life began in the sea, and even now, the chemical composition of your body carries that memory. Each heartbeat echoes the ancient tides that once shaped the first cells. The third thread is light. The photons that warm your skin left the surface of the sun 8 minutes ago, traveling through the vacuum of space to reach you. Some will bounce from your eyes, allowing you to see the world. Others will enter the leaves of trees, beginning the process of photosynthesis, the alchemy that turns sunlight into sugar, into growth, into life itself. When you eat, you consume stored sunlight. Every grain, every fruit, every bite of food is captured light, energy transformed and passed down through the chain of life. You are not apart from the sun. You are its expression in human form. Your thoughts, your warmth, your heartbeat, all are echoes of starlight, refracted through the chemistry of life. And then there is the fourth thread, the thread of matter. The atoms that compose you are ancient beyond imagination. The calcium in your bones was forged in the heart of an exploding star. The iron in your blood once pulsed through the core of a supernova. The carbon in your skin was born in the death of suns that shone long before the earth was even formed. Every part of you is recycled stardust, shaped and reshaped through eons. You are not merely on the universe, you are the universe, looking back at itself and wondering what it is. When you touch the earth, you are touching the same matter that built galaxies. When you drink water, you are tasting the memory of comets that once seeded oceans. When you breathe, you are continuing a conversation that began billions of years ago, one molecule at a time. But connection does not end in the physical. There are invisible threads that move through emotion, thought, and presence, the threads of consciousness itself. When you speak, when you listen, when you look into another's eyes, neurons mirror one another. Brainwaves synchronize. Heartbeats align. Science calls it entrainment, the natural tendency of living rhythms to fall into harmony. To people walking side by side will, without noticing, match their steps. Two hearts sitting in silence will gradually beat in time. Even your breath adjusts when you share space with another being. This is nature's quiet reminder that we were never meant to be separate and beyond the human world. The same principle continues. In forests, fungal networks link trees together, allowing them to share nutrients and warnings. The wood wide web in the ocean. Coral reefs communicate through chemical signals, balancing entire ecosystems in harmony. Everywhere, life listens and responds to life. When you truly begin to see this web, not as a metaphor, but as the very fabric of existence, something changes in the way you move through the world. You begin to walk softer. You begin to breathe with more reverence, because you realize that every action, every word, every thought ripples outward through this shared field of connection. The Stoics spoke of this, though in a different language. They called it the logos, the rational order, the living reason that connects all beings in a single whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What injures the hive, injures the bee." To live wisely is to live in awareness of the whole, to act not as an isolated self, but as a part of something infinitely larger. When you understand this, compassion is no longer an effort. It becomes instinct, because when you see someone suffer, you feel the echo within yourself. Their pain moves through the same field that sustains you. And when you offer kindness, you are not just giving, you are returning something that was always shared. Think of the earth not as a rock spinning in space, but as a breathing organism. The oceans are its blood, the forests its lungs, the atmosphere its skin. When you pollute the air, you poison your own breath. When you nurture the soil, you nourish your own body. There is no outside, only the illusion of separation. If you could trace the flow of a single atom through time, you would see its story unfold across worlds. A molecule of carbon once trapped in the bones of a dinosaur might now reside in a raindrop falling over your city. Tomorrow, it could be drawn up by a tree, then released again into the wind, waiting to enter another body, perhaps that of someone not yet born. This is the immortality of matter. Nothing is lost, only transformed. Life does not end, it circulates. And so, even when we die, we do not vanish. We return to soil, to air, to water. Our bodies dissolve back into the web of creation, our atoms rejoining the same dance that birthed stars and cells alike. The threads never break. They only shift form as you drift deeper into stillness. Imagine those threads glowing faintly around you, strands of light connecting every living thing, from the breath of a sleeping bird to the pulse of the ocean, from the flicker of your heartbeat to the hum of galaxies turning in silence. Everything moves together. Everything belongs, and in this belonging you find peace. The air that leaves your lungs joins the breath of trees. The warmth that leaves your skin joins the wind. The silence that fills your mind joins the stillness of space. You are not a separate being moving through the universe. You are the universe, moving through itself. Chapter 9. The slow intelligence of nature. The world thinks slowly, but it does think. In the quiet movements of roots, in the patient patterns of rivers and winds, wisdom unfolds. Life has learned, over billions of years, how to survive, adapt, and balance. If you listen closely, you'll hear that intelligence, not rushed, not loud, but enduring and kind. You have heard people speak of intelligence as something fast, a flash of thought, a spark of invention. But the world's oldest kind of intelligence doesn't move in flashes. It moves like moss across a stone, like water finding the easiest path downhill. It has no words, no plans, no noise, yet it knows exactly what to do. Nature does not rush, but nothing is left undone. Everywhere you look, there is evidence of a quiet understanding, a kind of knowing that has existed long before thought itself. A seed waits for the right temperature and moisture before it dares to wake. A river curves not by chance, but by memory. It remembers where the ground gives way. Even clouds form along invisible boundaries of air and pressure. Guided by unseen laws that have learnt to balance chaos into rhythm, when you look at a forest, you see countless decisions being made, not by minds like yours, but by patterns older than language. Roots turn away from poison, reach toward nourishment. Leaves angle themselves just so, to catch light but not burn beneath it. Each blade of grass, each coral reef, each cell, participates in a collective intelligence, the wisdom of life finding balance, over and over again. You could call it instinct, or evolution, or the memory of matter. But perhaps it's better to call it listening, because nature listens deeply. It listens to temperature, to pressure, to vibration, to the presence of other lives. Every living being adjusts to the music of its surroundings, tuning itself like an instrument in an endless symphony. You are part of that orchestra too, your heartbeat syncing with day and night, your breath moving with the tides of air that circle the globe. Even now, as you rest, your body listens to the world. Your circadian rhythm, that inner clock, is guided by light, by the turning of earth beneath the sun. Your cells adjust to temperature and humidity. Your brain releases chemicals in harmony with the phases of daylight and darkness. You are not separate from nature's intelligence. You are its continuation in the ocean. Coral polyps build entire cities of limestone, layer upon layer, with a precision no architect could match. They grow in sync with the moon's cycles, timing their reproduction to lunar light. If the water warms too quickly, they release their symbiotic algae, a desperate act of survival that, if sustained, leads to death. But even in dying, coral teaches. It shows us how fragile balance is, and how deeply all life depends on patience, on adaptation. In the desert, cacti store water not just for themselves, but for the ecosystem that will depend on their shade and moisture. In tundras, lichens, half algae, half fungus, endure freezing winds, sharing nutrients between species that could not survive alone. In jungles, vines learn to mimic the leaves of other plants, blending in to escape being eaten. None of this is planned, and yet all of it is wise. Wisdom, you realize, is not a thought. It is a pattern that repeats because it works. It's not about knowing in advance. It's about responding again and again. With harmony, when you walk through a meadow or along a shore, you can almost feel it, that slow intelligence moving through everything. It's in the way a spider repairs its web each dawn. It's in the way birds migrate across continents without maps. It's in the way your own body heals a cut without asking for instructions. This wisdom is patient because time is its ally. It has experimented for billions of years, testing every possible form, keeping what endures and letting go of what doesn't. A single tree is a record of generations of success. Each ring a memory of adaptation. Each branch a map of what sunlight taught it. If you look closely, you'll see that even apparent stillness is thought in motion. A mountain does not move quickly, but it reshapes itself with wind and rain. Ice carves valleys. Rivers learn to bend. Every erosion, every sediment layer, is the planet adjusting to its own rhythms, a geological form of awareness. Perhaps intelligence is not what we think it is. Perhaps it's not measured by how fast a brain can solve a problem, but by how well a system can stay in balance. By that measure, a forest is far more intelligent than any city. It wastes nothing. It gives back more than it takes, and when it falls, it becomes the soil that births itself again. Human thought is quick, but quickness can be blind. The mind races to fix what it barely understands, but nature has no rush. It has time to learn, time to fail, time to try again, and because of that, it rarely forgets what works. You can learn from that slowness. When you slow your thoughts, when you breathe deeply, your own intelligence becomes more like nature's. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop pushing and start listening. There is a kind of genius in stillness, a kind of wisdom that waits. The seed does not demand the sun. It waits until the sun comes. The caterpillar does not struggle to remain what it is. It surrenders to transformation, trusting that the change will make sense when it's done. You, too, are part of that process. Every lesson, every heartbreak, every pause, these are your adaptations. Life shapes you the way rivers shape stone, slowly, gently, persistently. And in time, what once seemed random reveals its pattern. When you trust the pace of nature, you stop fearing time. You stop thinking of growth as a race and start seeing it as rhythm. Your mind becomes like a tree, expanding but rooted, like a wave moving but returning, like the planet itself, changing yet always whole. Science tells us that even simple life forms display decision. Slime molds, though brainless, can navigate mazes to find food. They grow toward the most efficient routes, leaving behind traces that guide future movement. This is learning without thought, knowledge without words, proof that intelligence is not born from complexity alone, but from sensitivity, and sensitivity requires time. The faster we move, the less we feel. But nature, moving at its own deliberate pace, feels everything. That's why the forest heals you when you walk through it. It moves slowly enough for you to notice your own heartbeat again. It teaches your nervous system to calm, to align with its patient rhythm. It reminds you that your intelligence is not in your speed, but in your awareness. So tonight, as you listen to the stillness around you, imagine the planet thinking, not in sentences or symbols, but in motion, in cycles, in renewal. Every sunrise is a thought. Every season is a memory. Every creature, including you, is a continuation of that timeless learning. You don't have to solve everything. You only have to listen, to move with the rhythm that life itself has trusted for eons, because the wisdom of the world is already within you. It beats in your blood, it breathes in your lungs, it waits in your silence. And if you listen closely enough, you'll hear it, the mind of the earth, thinking in the language of patience. Chapter 10. The stillness that holds it all beneath motion, there is rest. Behind change, there is something that does not move. Earth turns, stars die and are born, oceans rise and fall, and yet stillness endures. It is the silence between heartbeats, the pause between breaths, the space in which everything lives. If you listen carefully, beneath all the sound and movement of the world, there is something that never changes. It is not loud, not bright, not visible, but it is always there. It holds the rhythm of tides, the rise of mountains, the fall of rain. It holds you to dot stillness. You have felt it before, in moments so brief that you almost miss them. The hush before dawn when the sky holds its breath. The pause between waves as the ocean seems to rest. The instant after you exhale, before your body remembers to draw air again. It is there, the soft, infinite quiet that underlies everything. In that stillness, the world is not asleep. It is simply waiting, waiting, as it always has, for the next breath of wind, the next spark of life, the next turn of the earth. We think of stillness as the absence of motion, but that isn't quite true. Stillness is not empty, it is full, full of potential, full of energy at rest, like a calm sea that could rise into waves at any moment. Even an atom, perfectly still to the human eye, vibrates with the silent hum of quantum motion. Even space, which seems like nothing at all, seethes with invisible particles that appear and disappear every fraction of a second. There is no such thing as absolute nothingness. There is only the quiet between becoming and being. This is the stillness that holds it all, not by resisting movement, but by allowing it. It is the steady background upon which life paints its restless colors. Without stillness, motion would have nowhere to happen. Without silence, there could be no sound. Without space, there could be no form. You can sense this truth in your own body. Your heart beats and rests, beats and rests. Your breath fills and empties. Your thoughts rise and fall like clouds across an open sky. And yet, something in you remains untouched, observing, constant. That awareness is your own inner stillness, the mirror of the earth's. In the quiet moments before sleep, you begin to feel it more clearly. the noise of thought fades. The edges of the self soften. You start to drift toward that center where nothing is demanded, where everything simply is. Here, the mind no longer reaches for answers. It simply watches the unfolding of things, the way stars might watch galaxies spin. The ancients knew this stillness. The Stoics called it ataraxia, tranquility, the unshakable calm of a mind aligned with nature. To live with stillness was not to withdraw from life, but to move through it with grace, to let storms pass without drowning in them. They understood that peace is not found by stopping the world, but by standing still within it. The earth itself offers the same lesson. Its crust trembles, its core burns, its skies shift, yet through all this change, its center holds. Beneath the quakes, beneath the shifting countenance, beneath the deep ocean currents, there is balance. That is the secret of stability, not in refusing motion, but in knowing where your still point lies. Imagine for a moment, you are watching Earth from far above, far beyond the reach of sound or air. You see the planet spinning, alive with storms and seasons. You see clouds drifting, waves moving, cities glowing. And yet, from where you float, it is utterly silent. The whole world, so full of motion, turns in perfect stillness through space. This is what stillness really is: movement and quiet existing together, each defining the other. The same truth applies to your life. You can act, strive, build, love, and still remain calm at your center. Because beneath every thought, there is awareness. Beneath every breath, there is silence. Beneath every heartbeat, there is rest. When you learn to return to that stillness, not to escape the world, but to be fully within it, something in you softens. The anxiety of doing, the noise of wanting, the chase of comparison, all dissolve. You begin to move with life instead of against it. You begin to see that everything has its rhythm, and that nothing truly needs to be forced. The trees know this. They grow not by striving, but by unfolding. Their roots seek water not in panic, but in patience. They trust the soil. They trust the sun. They trust the stillness beneath them to hold. The ocean knows this. Its waves crash with power, but the deep water beneath remains undisturbed. No matter how fierce the surface becomes, the depths are calm. That calm is not weakness, it is strength beyond turbulence. You, too, can find that depth within yourself. It does not require effort. It only requires remembering. Stillness is not something you create. It is what remains when you stop trying to control what already is. Every system in the universe seeks equilibrium. Planets settle into orbits. Rivers find their course. Heat disperses evenly through space. Even chaos has its balance, a hidden order that science calls entropy. It is the universe's way of saying, everything returns to peace eventually. In your own mind, the same law applies. Thoughts rise like waves, but they fall back into quiet when you stop feeding them. Emotions surge and fade. The body ages and renews. Through it all, stillness holds you, the quiet space in which every experience passes like clouds across the endless blue. You might wonder, is stillness the opposite of life? But the truth is gentler than that. Stillness is life, the silent pulse that allows everything to exist. It is the backdrop, the foundation, the cradle. Without it, there would be only noise, unanchored, unshaped. Even in music, silence gives meaning to sound. Without pauses, a melody is just chaos. It's the same with existence. Stillness gives form to motion, the way darkness gives brilliance to light, and perhaps this is why peace feels so familiar when you find it. Because stillness is not foreign to you, it is your origin. You were born from silence, from the calm of the womb, from the pause between stars. Every cell in your body remembers it. Every breath returns you to it. The stillness that holds the world holds you too. It is not separate. It is not elsewhere. It is the center of gravity for all things, the place everything returns to. Again and again, you do not have to seek it far away. You find it each time you sit quietly and notice the weight of your body on the bed, the rhythm of your breath, the gentle hum of your own aliveness. That is the same stillness that holds galaxies, the same stillness that rests beneath volcanoes and stars, the same stillness that has watched the rise and fall of every species and will remain long after you are gone. In this stillness, there is no fear, because nothing is missing. There is no past or future, because everything is now. There is no separation, because all things are already whole. So as you drift into sleep, imagine the entire earth breathing with you, oceans rising as you inhale, clouds settling as you exhale, everything moving, everything resting, everything held together in the same endless quiet. And as your thoughts fade into dream, you return not to nothing, but to the stillness that holds it all, the same stillness that began before time, the same stillness that waits beneath every heartbeat, the same stillness that will welcome you home, the end of this journey through earth's living wisdom, and the beginning of your own quiet awakening. The journey ends not with a conclusion, but with a deep exhale. You have wandered through breath and stone, through oceans, forests, and light, and discovered that everything, from stars to soil, moves with the same slow rhythm. Life is not a collection of separate stories, but one vast pulse, rising, falling, resting. The air you breathe now once passed through ancient leaves, ancient lungs, ancient seas. You are not outside the world. You are its continuation, its voice in human form, and as you close your eyes, the earth keeps breathing through you, a quiet reminder that nothing truly ends, only transforms into another beginning.